Hello everyone, welcome to the next tutorial in the series, the FMC or CDU programming tutorial. My name's Josh and I'm with Renew Reviews. Okay, let's get started. If you've watched the Cold and Dark tutorial, you'll know that the aircraft should already be set up and have available power to it. So right now you can see our screens are switched off. Well, we've got basic information, but we need the entire systems online. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop open the FMC by pressing Shift 3, and there it is. Okay, you'll notice first thing we get a message saying enter IRS position. This is basically because we've aligned the IRS, but it doesn't know where we are in the world. So we need to tell it we're at Cardiff Airport, which is where we are, and we're at gate 7. So what we do is we go ahead and we go to the FMC in the top left, the line select 1. Okay, and this first page tells us the information. The model aircraft we're flying is the 737-800 with winglets, as it says there. Engine rating is 26,000 pounds of thrust, 26k. Our nav data, which is the AIRAC cycle, currently what we have installed, which is 1108, sorry. And it's been active since July the 28th of August. And the operating system of the FMC is, well, that's not very relevant, that's just part of the sim. And okay, we can clear that first message saying enter IRS position because we're about to do that. So we press clear in the bottom right. Okay, now it says dual FMC operations restored. That means basically the first officer's seat and the captain's seat are able to use the FMC. Okay, so we're going to pop over to the next page, which is position initialization, the bottom right line select. Okay, we come to this page. Now, first thing on the left, which says reference airport, we are at Cardiff Airport, so we need to get the four codes of the ICAO code of the airport, which for us is Echo Golf Foxtrot Foxtrot for Cardiff Airport. Another little feature that's handy is if you select in this scratchpad area, this is what it's called, where all the information goes before you enter it into the FMC, you can either use these letters and numbers that are provided as you would in the real world, or to make it easier for the user on Flight Sim, you can select here and a green bar will appear. You can then type in your information like so, like Echo Golf Foxtrot Foxtrot. Okay, right, now this information is the bottom left, so we need to get it to reference airport. Just hit the line select next to there and it will pop into there. Okay, this information to the right of it is its position in the world via latitude and longitude. Okay, so we need to, next one down is gate, which is gate 7, so we just type 7 and we line select it in. Now what we do now is, this is set IRS position, these boxes here, and we basically need the position of the aircraft in the world right now in those boxes. So to get this information, all we have to do is go via gate 7, which is where we are, and hit the right line select next to that, next to your gate, and it'll put it into the scratchpad. So this information is now ready to be copied or pasted as you would into this kind of area. So we just right line select where it says set IRS position, and there it pops in, and now it's aligned. And you'll see now, if we pop this out of the way, our system's now online. So we are the aircraft is fully capable now. Okay, so popping that back into the center. The next stage to do would be to enter our route. So we go to the route page, bottom line select here, it says route with an arrow to say we can go to the route page. Select route. Okay, now we've got origin. Now origin is where we start, obviously. Right now it's currently in the scratchpad because it knows we're at Cardiff, so it's already in the scratchpad down here, look. So we just line select that in. Okay, the next one is the destination. Okay, so today we're going to go to Echo Golf Golf Papa, which is Liverpool. We're not actually flying there, but I'm using it as an example. Okay, so we type that into the line select into the scratchpad, and we line select it into dest. Flight number. Now, another thing to note is if you have boxes, this is information the flight management computer needs you to input. And the dashed lines, this is information that can be inputted for help and reference. So like right now we don't have to enter a flight number, the runway or co-route. So we're going to put a flight number in of, I don't know, Ryanair 778. and we're going to line select that in. Okay, runway we can leave for now, we don't need to put that in yet until we're given it. And co-route, which is company route, is another feature added for Flight Sim. If you have a file saved on the computer with the route already put in it, you can type in the code, the name of that route. You would name it something, and you can just type it into the scratchpad, like, I don't know, GHI, and then if you select that into co-route, it will then pop up the entire route and save you a lot of time and effort. Okay, right, so we've done that. So we then go to next page, which is here. Okay, and we're ready to put our route in. Okay, so I've already got a route ready for me, and I will link the website I use, which I'm about to show you. I will link that in the description so you can use it for future reference. Okay, so I'll pop you there now. Okay, so now we're at the route page. We have on the left via, which is reserved for airways, and we have to, which is the waypoints. Okay, so I've got my route already. I will link it into the description where you can get a route for free. And I'm just going to tell you what my waypoint and airways are. Okay, so what we do first is we start at Cardiff Airport, which it already is predetermined in the system, and then what we can do is if we come down to departures and arrivals and click that, we've got all this. We have Cardiff at the start, and then we have Liverpool here. If we go to departures from Cardiff, we have SIDs, which are standard instrument departures, which are basically just routes out of the airport to make things easier for air traffic control and pilots, and to make it a lot safer. Now, my first route on my first waypoint on my route, is Brecon. So, we would find the determined SID, which I'm going to use Brecon 1A via the runway. So, if we choose what runway today we've got a departure on, which is going to be for me runway 12, we've then got Brecon 1 Bravo available. So we're going to select Brecon 1 Bravo. Okay, and now if we take a look in our PFD, move it over there, we've got this blue line, which we can use this area up here. I'll go through in just a minute, but we've got a blue line which is coming out, and this dashed line here is the runway, and we're going to take off and we're going to come around this blue line through these small waypoints, and then it's going to link us to our route, and our route will then continue off to Liverpool. Okay, so that's now selected. We can go back to the route page via the right line select. Okay, so it now says we're going via Brecon 1 Bravo, which is the SID, to Brecon the waypoint. Then the next thing is to enter our next airway, because it goes from, we work left to right. We go from via an airway to a waypoint to an airway to a waypoint, and so on. So this route is extremely short because it's just Cardiff to Liverpool. It's a couple of 100 miles. Okay, so we then go from Brecon to November 8, 6, and 4. I'll type that into the scratchpad, and then we end. Okay, so these boxes obviously are very important, and they're mandatory. So our next waypoint to enter there would be Monty, which is M-O-N-T-Y. So I'm going to then into the scratchpad and line select it in. Now that is actually the end of my route because it's very short. So obviously the next thing to do, well, you can do this on the ground or in the air. You usually practice in the air, but you would then come back to the departures arrival page. You would then go to the Liverpool ICAO, and to the right of it it'd say arrivals. So you select the arrivals. Then you have a choice. You have all the navigation approaches, which is the ILS, which is Instrument Landing System, onto the certain runways. You've got NDBD, and if you press next page, you've just got normal, so you can be backed in, things like that. Okay, so we're going to choose ILS 27 today, and our last waypoint, if we remember, it may not actually be linked, but if we reference charts and things, we find out what to use. But we choose our relevant star to link us onto that runway from our route. So I'm going to leave that out for now because I haven't got my charts and I haven't referenced it, things like that. Okay, so back to the route page, and you'll notice there's a slight problem right now. There is a route discontinuity And if we go to our legs pages, which is here, legs page, we have the choice. This is where I will now describe. I'll just close down the FMC and I'll describe this area here. This here has various functions. Okay, so starting from the top left, we have our barometer, and we also have another barometer, and we have certain functions to do with the navigation display. I'm not going to go through them too much, but we have certain functions like weather radar here, which is WXR, waypoint, airport, data, position, terrain. What we're interested in is this little rotary knob here with the numbers on, which is 5, 10, 20, so on to 640. This is our range viewing over the ND. So if we pop open the MD, I'll make it a lot bigger for you. Okay, so right now we're looking at a very weird angle. Okay, this triangle here represents our aircraft. Okay, and if I press position, which is POS, it will show a little dumbbell. You can't really see it, but that actually is the position of the inertial reference system right now, which is where the aircraft is. Okay, so what we do is, if we mess about with these numbers and make it larger, we then zoom out. And as you can see, we're zooming out very far on that blue line. And that is our route. It's blue because we haven't executed it yet, which means basically say, yes, we want that route. So, you know, go through the system and definitely select it on, which it would then become a magenta line, which is the colour of this line here, which is the heading indicator. It's a kind of pinky. It's a pink colour. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to come here to the left on this knob, and we have a few functions which are VOR, app, map and plan. I'm going to select it from map to plan to the right one, and we get a sort of circles which indicate our distance. Now this 5 obviously means 5 miles, 10 miles, and so on. So if I go ahead and zoom out, I can see aircraft here, so our position. Right now I'm actually hovering directly in the centre over runway 12 to 6, which is this first area here, which is the start of our SID. If I pop open the FMC, I will now move it across. I have this little function in the bottom right which says step. What this does is, if I press it, we go to the next waypoint, and it will then send to that, and we can work our way along this waypoint, or every single different waypoint, by pressing step, until we find that the route is completely secure and fine. Now, as I said, we had a route discontinuity in the route page, so we need to search for this discontinuity, which basically means there's a gap, and there it is. As you can see, oh whoops, I need to go back, I need to go through them again, whoops, my mistake, sorry guys. Okay, so Monty is now centered, and now Monty, if you remember, is one of our it was the end of our route onto the star, onto the runway, but I didn't choose a star because I haven't programmed that in properly. So basically what I want to do is I want to go from Monty to Liverpool Airport. So what I need to do is I need to go back to the route page here, press next page, and here's our discontinuity. We've got some boxes here, which means we need to fill them in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down below that to the very first waypoint, which is 59 DME, line select that to the right, and it will come into our scratchpad. Then we click on the line select of the discontinuity of the boxes, and it will then replace it. And if you look now, we have a blue line going all the way across, and if we look onto the legs page, and if we step through now, we should have a complete route. And if we look there, it goes straight through to Neaton, Monty, and there's Monty to the airport there, and we even have the missed approach programmed in there. Okay, so back to the route page, and we have that done. Okay, so now we are ready to activate that route. So you know, if we go to, so that looks okay. We check everything, that's fine. Next page, there we go. So all our waypoints and our airways are in, and we've even got the missed approach programmed in for ILS-27. So now we can press activate, which is the line select, and then we have a little light here that comes up above execute. So we can press execute, which basically means put it into the system. So if we pop this open now, you'll notice it's gone from a blue line to a bold pink line, if we look there. Okay, so that route is now programmed in to the FMC, and it's valid and we can use it. Next page is the perf init page, so we go across to this, and what we do now is we work our way from the left, gross weight and crew C of G. So we want to find our gross weight. You'd usually do this by going in, you can do this various ways, but it depends how you've programmed your flight. So you know, with the NGX it's programmed in, you can just find it. So you'd find your gross weight and you would enter it in there. Okay, so then under this you would go to zero fuel weight. Now mine with the NGX, a certain feature it's built in is it calculates it all for you, and you can just line select the zero fuel weight and it will then tell you what it is, which is 121.8 for me, and you can just select that in, and that will then automatically put my gross weight and my crew C of G in, which is 167.5 and 19.1%. Okay, moving down, reserves, I want 5,000 pounds of fuel for when I come into Liverpool in case I have missed approaches or I have to divert. So I select that in. Cost index, this varies. I'm going to use 100 as an example. This is just something airlines use for efficient purposes. It's to do with fuel and the amount of fuel you use and things like that, and the distance. Okay, so what it does then is it actually calculates our best flight level, and that would be 11,580 feet for us. But we already have a predefined cruise altitude. I've used 260 for today. So I then put 260, which is flight level, because above the transition level you don't use just 26,000 feet anymore, you use flight levels. So it's just basically divided by 100, I believe. Okay, so we just line select that in. Okay, it would say on the enable cruise altitude, but that's okay for me because I'm not actually doing the flight. I would correct this if I was. I'm just going to leave it out for now. Okay, it then tells us all our other information like the international standard atmosphere deviation, top of cruise, outside air temperature is minus 33 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 36 Celsius. Transition altitude for today is 18,000 feet. And well, you can look up what that means. Basically, that's just the altitude at which you're out of control of the airspace, and basically you then reset your pressure to standard on the barometer. It becomes standard. You don't have a local QNH or QFE, and speed restrictions change. No, sorry, that's 10,000 feet when you can go above 250 knots. And now the next page is M1 limit, which is basically our engines. So what you can do is the top left, we can select we can guess our temperature, which is outside air temperature. If it's something like 23 degrees, we can type in 23 and then put it into there, and it will change our information to do with the engine. And okay, so we're going to leave it because it's already calculated it's 15 degrees outside. Then we have a selection of D rates, which are basically power set for the engine. So we've got 26,000 pounds of thrust, 24, 22 and 27. Or we can select our own defined, which is up in this select outside air temperature area. Today we're going to use a 24 kd rate, so I line select next to that, and that would be on the climb CLB here, and that's selected as well. But I'm not. We can also do climb performance, and we can do various stages of different D rates, but we're not going to do that because it's a short route. Okay, so it's 24 kd rate on the N1 shaft speed, which is the very front fan of the engine. Okay, and it's 94.6% on the M1 of thrust. Next up, that's ready, so we go to takeoff page. Now, mandatory, we need to enter the flap setting, which standardly is 5 degrees, but it's all calculated, and you have to use fuel, things like that, into accordance with it, and runway lengths, things like that. So today we're going to use 5, and select that in. Right now, we need to know what our centre of gravity is for this flight. So if we go back to perf initialization, we can find out that our gross weight, so our 19.1% is us, so it's 26,000 divided by 100 is 260 CG. So if we go back to take off, 19.1. Now then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it, is if you line select next to CG, this is a cheating way, it will tell you 19.1. It's already calculated in the database of the FMC. So it's already 19.1, and we just line select that in. Now that will tell us now. What I didn't cover in the last lesson was trim of the elevator, trim tabs. It says here CFG is 19.1% and our trim is 6.33 units. So we then want to zoom out. Well, I will just close this down. So it's 6.33 units. So we come down to the pedestal and we've got this large wheel here which actually controls the elevator trim. What this does is it eases pressure off the pilot, things like this, for holding back the control column. He doesn't have to sit there and hold it back for the entire climb. So I'm going to set it to about 6.33. It's about there. And that's now set. So our elevator is now set for takeoff. Back to the FMC, shift 3. We then have off to the right we have relevant information. Now you'll see a couple of numbers here, which is 150, 151, 156. These are the quick reference handbook numbers for our takeoff at the moment, our takeoff speeds. Now to go through these simply and fast, V1 actually indicates the speed at which you're committed to the takeoff. So if there's an engine failure, you can't abort takeoff if you're above 150 knots, as the quick reference handbook has told us. The VR, which is V rotate. V indicates velocity, by the way. These are just V codes. Rotate is the point at which the pilot rotates the aircraft ready to take off. And V2 is actually the safety speed at which the aircraft can take off with one engine inoperative. So yeah, that's just the safety speed. So if we just select here or put it in, and the takeoff weight is calculated at 167.5. As I've enjoyed the tutorial, I hope it helped. If you have any comments or questions, just comment or see me. I've linked my Facebook, my Twitter, and I'll also link the website I used for my route. Thanks.